What's up, guys? Chase Oliver 68 here, bringing you my UFC on Fox 6 recap and results. As always, the UFC on Fox cards are just 4 fights. I gotta admit, the UFC on Fox cards, this one wasn't as good as last time's Benson Henderson, Nate Diaz, but this was a pretty damn good card. I did enjoy most of the card. So let's get started. Notable names that were in the prelims. There's a lot of great notable names in here. Ryan Bader defeated Vladimir Matyushenko. Pascal Kroos defeated Mike Stump, and Pascal Kroos is an interesting welterweight. I hope he does very good in the near future. TJ Grant defeated Matt Willman, and Clay Guida defeated Hatsu Hioki. So some very interesting names in the prelims. Very, very rich talent. Definitely going to be checking out the prelims soon enough, but especially Pascal Kroos, since I am interested in this guy as a fighter. So let's move on forward, though, as we got our opening fight, featherweight bout. Most likely these guys are in contention for the featherweight title soon enough. Maybe fight Chance Jun, or who knows, fucking fight Frankie Edgar. Ricardo Lamas taking on Eric Koch. Eric Koch was a supposed favorite for this fight. Lamas, you know, he's been on a nice roll here in the UFC, and he ends up winning in the second round. TKO on elbows. He sent a statement here tonight. He literally said, "Look, I'm here. I want a shot at the featherweight title. Give it to me." And it's a very nice story that Ricardo Lamas is doing. Really do enjoy what his story is. Working very hard, and I hope he does get a featherweight title shot soon. He should fight Chance Jun for sure, especially if Frankie Edgar is going to get another title shot, and who knows, he might get another title shot after that. Who knows what will happen with Frankie Edgar and Jose Aldo, which is next Saturday. But other than that, you know, very, very good fight between these two. It was nice, short, enjoyable. Nothing too spectacular, but I did enjoy it. Up next, Anthony Showtime Pettis versus Donald Cerrone. This fight had a bunch of hype leading up to it. You know, Donald Cerrone saying Anthony Pettis is a coward. He's been holding out for the title shot. If you guys don't understand, Cerrone had valid points to call out Anthony Pettis. Anthony Pettis, you know, hasn't been fighting as much. I mean, he picked up a victory. He just sat back, waited, and waited, and waited. Because he knew that if he lost, there's no way in hell he will get a title shot. So he waited and waited and waited. And Cerrone's been calling him out. And you know Donald Cerrone, this dude fights like 5 times a year. There's nothing wrong with it. The dude fights 5 times a year. He's a guy that is trying to build his way to a title shot. So he wanted to fight Showtime Pettis. And Anthony Showtime Pettis pretty much said, "Hey, Cerrone, man, I am legit, and I just showed it to you there." Now, I'll give Pettis credit this. He looked very good in this fight. Loved what he tried to do with his punches and kicks. Very good mixing it up. Just canned the stupid moves. Holy fucking shit. That flip kick in the beginning, yeah, I'm pretty sure if you did that to Gilbert Melendez or even Benson, you would get your ass handed to you. Don't do stupid moves. The bouncing off the cage, fine. Cool with me. That's fine with me. But silly, stupid trick kicks in the middle of the octagon, no, no, no. You're going to end up like that guy in that stupid commercial that they always show. The dude with the fucking red-ass mohawk doing that stupid kick, that one bald dude catches it and knocks him out. That's what's going to happen if Pettis keeps doing stupid shit like that. Bouncing off the cage, go right ahead. Especially when your opponent's right near you, go right ahead. Do the Showtime knee. Do the Showtime kick. Just stop trying to entertain doing stupid flippy flips. If you want to do flippy flips, go to the WWE. I'm pretty sure they would like your look and your talents that you have. But no more flippy flips, please. Just saying, it just looks really dumb. Because when you're in a big-time fight, you don't want to try to force yourself. Like, I get it. Pettis is trying to entertain. Pettis is trying to be a guy that's going to entertain the fans. But he can entertain the fans just like what he did by kicking ass and taking names. And that's what he did. Just enough of that stupid crap that he does. I mean, I get it. Want to entertain? Use your actions to entertain. He ended Donald Cerrone in the first round very good because Donald Cerrone is a tough guy to finish. Donald Cerrone is once again back into his usual ways. He'll fight 3 more times this year, and then he will most likely win, get into a big-time fight, and most likely choke it. That's Donald Cerrone's career for you. Entertaining as hell fighter, but that's his career for you. Very, very fun character. I do love the Cowboy very much. So Pettis is most likely going to be fighting the winner of El Nino Gilbert Melendez or Benson Smooth Henderson. Should be an interesting battle. Not going to lie. By the way, Benson Henderson versus El Nino is the next Fox card, UFC on Fox 7. So, should be a good one. Moving up forward, we got Glover Texiera taking on Quinton Jackson. And the whole point of this fight was Jackson was like, I want to fight Glover. I can knock him out. And then Glover said, I can knock Rampage out. And you know what we saw instead? I'm Rampage. Really fucking tired. Glover, yeah. It really was an okay fight. It was decent. It was a nice little slugfest. Rampage did show some heart in this fight, and I told people all the time, why are you thinking that Glover can just knock out Rampage like that? Because, in all honesty, Rampage is such an expert, has so much experience in the sport. It's going to take more than just one Glover punch to knock him out. Like, people were saying that Glover's just going to tap his chin and he's going to fall, and I was like, you kidding me? No. Like, Glover could TKO him, but not to the extent of what people were saying. And so, Rampage and Glover go to the third round. In all honesty, Rampage is pretty much done. We saw it in this fight. He's done. There's nothing more you can say. You can't convince me Page is back. Rampage is going to make a triumphant return. He's done. He needs to stop fighting. He proved himself already. He's a former UFC light heavyweight champion, a legend in his goddamn business. And if you disagree with me, go right ahead. But Rampage was one of the main reasons why MMA became mainstream. He's the reason why Pride, besides like Fedor Emelianenko and Nogueira and Wanderlei Silva and Shogun Rua, Rampage was more of like for us Americans, for us people that love guys that talk shit, slam fucking people. He was the excitement for Pride, and he brought that to the UFC. You know, he's a mainstream guy. He's a guy that, you know, has helped MMA a bunch. Rampage Jackson was one of the first huge draws in MMA. So, in all honesty, great career for Rampage Jackson. He deserves it. He's a legend in my books. I don't know if he's a legend in your guys' books. As for Glover Texiera, not impressed. Your words said, I'm going to knock him out. Your actions showed, I'm going to be very technical and fight like Chuck Liddell. Why are you fighting like Chuck Liddell? I understand. He's your master. Can you tell me, when was the last time Chuck Liddell won a fucking fight? Exactly. Fighting like Chuck Liddell and the way that Glover fought, I'm not going to say, here's $50, Dana White. I really want to buy this pay-per-view that Glover Texiera is on. It's not going to do it for me. That fight by Glover, PU stinks. Sorry, I wasn't impressed. I just sat there saying, he said, I'm going to knock him out. He won't know what hit him. And yet Rampage's old ass was getting hit and he was like, you got nothing. You got nothing. So Glover really needs to redeem himself against a very credible opponent. And I mean credible. Either Lyoto Machida or Dan Henderson, whichever one of those two lose, or hell, just someone else. Maybe I wasn't impressed by Glover that much because John Jones has set such a high standard for light heavyweights that all the other light heavyweights just seem small and feeble to me. Maybe that's the reason why. I'm not 100% sure, but I just wasn't impressed by Glover Texiera. If you guys were impressed, congratulations. You like him. I like Glover. I think he's an excellent fighter. But other than that, not impressed by this performance, and it's not really a performance that would make me say I need to pay money to see this guy in a pay-per-view. That's pretty much it about that fight. Moving on forward to the Flyweight Championship. The whole time Fox did not want to promote that it was a Flyweight title fight. They just said a World Championship fight. I wonder why they didn't pronounce it as a Flyweight Championship. Is it because if you said this was for a Flyweight title, do you think people would not take it seriously enough? Maybe that's the reason why. So, Johnson versus Dodson. First two rounds, pretty damn entertaining. I really liked them. Third round was kind of meh. Fourth round, I did enjoy a lot. Stupid knee, like fucking Dodson, like kept on putting his hand on the ground. It was just ridiculous sometimes. The fifth round, fucking Demetrious just showed why he's the champion right there. That was like a round that defines who a champion is, and that was his like defining round in my opinion. Very good round for Demetrious Johnson, and then no surprise, Demetrious Johnson retained. But I want to take away on why, you know, some people may be wondering, why are the UFC putting guys like the Flyweight Champion on free TV, or the Lightweight Champion on free TV, or even the Bantamweight Champions, you know, the Flyweight, Bantamweight, Lightweight Champions. do not get the proper respect that they deserve and are not main eventing pay-per-views. I don't give a shit if you can't take the division seriously. I understand flyweights are hard to take seriously because they're 125 people and most of you guys feel like you can kick their asses. I can totally understand that. But the thing is, it doesn't fucking matter. Champions are supposed to be main eventing pay-per-views. And the fact that the UFC is totally giving these fights for free are pretty much saying, we don't trust this guy into getting us viewers or pay-per-view buys, which is ridiculous to me because BJ Penn was one of those guys who made people say, you know, the lightweights, they are fucking legit. BJ Penn was that type of guy. Demetrious Johnson could be that guy. Benson Henderson could be that guy. And it's ridiculous that a flyweight title fight is not being featured. And I'm just thinking to myself, why do I think that the flyweight title is not being featured mainly on pay-per-views? And then I just looked and think, and then two things just popped up, and I said, oh yeah, Demetrious Johnson, John Dodson, the whole time they were hyping it up, what was the first thing you saw when Demetrious Johnson hit the screen? Zoom, finished 5 fights in the first round. John Dodson, guy has explosive power and knockout ability. The UFC is pretty much telling you they want guys who can finish fights to be in the main event. It's true. GSP, I know a lot of people are going to be like, why is GSP in the main event still if he's not a guy who finishes fights? GSP has such a following and fan recognition behind him that he's automatically a pay-per-view buy. You know, putting GSP on a card, people are going to buy that pay-per-view just because he's such an entertaining... He's not entertaining just because who he is. GSP has just that aura around him. Yeah, he's not that great anymore with his finishing abilities, but he does, you know, I guess entertain some people. The thing is, Demetrious Johnson, Dominic Cruz, even Ryan Barreo and Benson Henderson have not been finishing fights. And so, with that, Dana White's not trusting them into putting them in main events. Think about the champions that people talk about nowadays in the UFC. Velasquez and Dos Santos as the heavyweight champions, people were talking about their finishing power and how exciting they are. Anderson Silva. Silva finishes fuckers all the time. People love that about Silva. When Silva was getting so much hate, it was because he wasn't finishing fights and he was being boring as hell. All of a sudden, he fucking chokes out Chael Sonnen and fucking crane kicks Vitor Belfort. Everyone's all over Silva's nuts again. Everyone's like, Anderson, John Jones. Who cares? UFC 151 never happened. No one gives a shit anymore because he finishes fights. When you finish a fight and you entertain the crowd by that, you will get pay-per-views. Jose Aldo, he's the only lower weight champion currently in the UFC that's getting pay-per-view time. Why? Not only is he a draw because he has a very large following fan base, but not to mention the fact he can finish a fight. And that's the problem. Johnson, Barreo, and Cruz, don't forget Dominic Cruz is still the bantamweight champion, and Benson Henderson have not finished fights yet and proved that they are not pay-per-view buys for the UFC. To be a pay-per-view buy in the UFC, you need to have a large fan base or you can finish fights. And that's a bottom line. Do you think Rashad Evans would have been in the position he was if he never finished a fight? If Rashad Evans never knocked out Chuck Liddell, where would Rashad Evans' career be? Someone tell me. I really want to know. I honestly do want to know. But other than that, if you don't have a huge fan base and you don't have finishing power, you're most likely not going to main event pay-per-views. And I kind of find it sad almost that Demetrious Johnson, Cruz, and Barreo, and also Benson Henderson may not get a chance to main event pay-per-views. Benson Henderson, you know, people are going to say he's main event pay-per-views before, but he was fighting a guy in Frankie Edgar who has a huge fan base. Just saying, it's kind of common logic. You guys want to disagree with me about that? Go right ahead. But what did you guys think about UFC on Fox 6? Comment down below. Video responses would be cool. Like this video. Share it on Twitter, Facebook, whatever you want to do. You can subscribe down below for, you know, UFC, wrestling, and sports videos. And follow me on Twitter at ChaseOliver68. Alright, so I'm out of here. Up next for the UFC, we got Frankie Edgar. taking on Jose Aldo. At least Alistair Overeem and Bigfoot Silva are fighting on that card. And Little Nog and Rashad seems like a good card. Yeah, Frankie Edgar, Jose Aldo, go.